The 2015 NBA Finals are the most important finals of the 2010s. Most of y'all will actually say the 2016 or maybe the 2019 NBA Finals are the most important, but in my opinion, the 2015 Finals will always hold a special place in NBA history. It's a series that we got to see the arrival of a future superstar in Steph Curry, and a series where we got to see the current generation take on the future generation. It's a series where we got to see the start of one of the most dominant and iconic dynasties in NBA history, and it's an NBA Finals that started a dynasty. Coming into the 2015 season, the NBA was a lot different than we once knew it. Pre-2015, the NBA was an inside-out league, meaning that the league was usually ran by big men, and the way to win was through the low post and feeding the big guy down low. This would change in the summer of 2014, when the Spurs, a team who changed their style from a paint-dominated game to a three-point shooting type of game, won the championship over the Big Three Heat. It's officially marked a huge change in the NBA. The era of the center taking over games was now over, and we were now officially in a new era, an era of three-point shooting, an era that was dominated by the man known as the baby-faced assassin. The Warriors would finish the 2015 season with an insane 67-15 record, good enough to get the first seed in a stacked Western Conference. They would draw the AD-led Pelicans in the first round, where they would easily sweep them in just 4 games. In the second round, they would take on the grit and grind Grizzlies, who were led by Mike Conley, Marc Gasol, and Zach Randolph. Conley would actually get injured in this series, making this series a lot easier for the Warriors. The Warriors would actually go down 2-1 to the Grizzlies before eventually winning 3 straight to make it to their first Western Conference Finals in over 40 years. Waiting for them in the conference finals was a Houston team that was led by the future superstar known as James Harden. The Warriors would make easy work of the Rockets, beating them in just 5 games to make it to the NBA Finals. This was a magical season for Curry, who already took home his first MVP and was now heading to the NBA Finals for the first time of his career. He was ready for the final stage, and waiting for him on the other side of the bracket was a man who was ready to bring his hometown a championship. The Cavs were coming off a season where they didn't even make the playoffs, but that wouldn't soon matter as their hometown hero LeBron James was officially coming home. LeBron announced in the 2014 offseason that he was not returning to Miami and that he was coming back to his hometown to bring his team a championship. This season would be a huge one for LeBron, as he and his Cavs would grab the 2nd seed in the Eastern Conference, and they would make easy work of the 7th seed Celtics, sweeping them in just 4 games to take on the Derrick Rose-led Bulls in the second round. They would actually go down 2-1 after a Derrick Rose game winner off the glass to make the series 2-1 in favor of Chicago. LeBron would hit a huge game winner of his own in Game 4 to tie up the series at 2-2 before winning the next 2 games to win the series in 6 games. In the conference finals, they saw a first-seeded Hawks team. During the series, they didn't have Kevin Love due to him getting injured in the first round versus Boston. Kyrie would deal with a ton of ankle injuries in this series, but that didn't matter as LeBron was a one-man army, putting the Cavs on his back to complete a dominant 4-0 sweep over the first-seeded Hawks to send his Cavs to the NBA Finals for the first time since 2007. The Cavs were in the finals and now were about to match up with one of the best teams in recent NBA memory. This would soon become the finals that would start a rivalry that we would see for many years to come, and an NBA Finals that started a dynasty. Game 1 of this series was an oracle, and it was the first out of 4 NBA Finals matchups between these two teams, and we would get an instant preview of how this rivalry was going to be like. The game would open up, and both teams were pretty slow to start, as a combined 9 points were scored between the two teams in the first couple of minutes. Then by the end of the first quarter, the Cavs would catch fire, making multiple 3-point shots to give their team a 29-19 lead over the Warriors to end the first quarter. The second quarter would be a movie, as both teams were going back and forth. The Warriors would erase the 10-point lead of the Cavs to take the lead late in the second quarter, where Curry would make a crazy layup to give the Warriors a 41-36 lead over the Cavs. LeBron would make this layup over Harrison Barnes to give the Cavs a 48-46 lead with 33 seconds remaining in the half. The game would continue throughout, and the game would remain close in the third quarter, and then the fourth quarter would commence, and we would get our first out of many classic games in these finals. LeBron would drain a huge three-pointer to give the Cavs an 89-85 lead with 5 minutes remaining in the game. The Warriors would keep it close, but then LeBron would strike back again with another huge three-pointer to tie the game at 96. At this point, LeBron was at 42 points for the game. LeBron was already dominating, and it was only game 1 of these finals. Curry would get the ball, and we're going for a potential game-winning layup, but Kyrie Irving with some insane hands would block the layup, and this game was heading into overtime. Our first overtime of these finals. The game would continue in overtime, but then something happened. Something that would change the course of these NBA finals. Kyrie would go down with a broken kneecap and would be forced to sit out the rest of these finals. This means LeBron has now lost both of his co-stars, as he's now by himself fending against the best team in the NBA at that time. At this point, the Cavs couldn't keep up, and the Warriors would continue to pour it on, and as the clock strikes 0, the Warriors would take game 1 of these NBA finals. These NBA finals would start off great, as the Warriors would win a thriller to take game 1 of these NBA finals. Game 2 of these finals would still be a movie, even if LeBron didn't have the help he needed. The game would start off, and both teams were still close, even with the injuries to Kyrie and Love. LeBron would get this tough mid-range shot over Iguodala to get the Cavs within 2 points with a score of 20-18. The second quarter would come, and Klay would get a shot over Dellavedova to give the Warriors a 25-22 lead with 9 minutes remaining in the half. Klay would again get a huge three-pointer to give the Warriors a 29-25 lead with 8 minutes remaining in the game. LeBron would find James Jones in the corner for an open 3 that would get the Cavs within 3 with 7 minutes remaining in the game. The game would continue to be close throughout, and then in the fourth quarter, we again got another classic game in these finals. Curry would drain this huge 3 in LeBron's mouth to get the Warriors within 6 points. Then the Warriors would find Barnes under the basket to get a huge and one dunk that got the game within 2 points with 1 minute remaining. Curry would again get the ball, and after a Cavs miss, he would split the defense down the middle to get a huge layup to tie the game at 87. This means that we're heading into overtime. The second overtime of these finals, and these NBA finals so far were not disappointing. The overtime period would commence, and LeBron would find an open Iman Shumpert, who drains a huge three-pointer to give the Cavs a 90-87 lead with 3 minutes remaining in overtime. The Cavs would miss a shot, but then Matthew Dellavedova would get a huge putback that would just miss, but it was a foul. He would drain both free throws to give the Cavs a 94-93 lead with 10 seconds remaining. Curry has the ball after the timeout. It would go for a step-back jumper that would just miss. The Cavs secured the rebound, and LeBron would make only 1 of 2 free throws, leaving the door open for the Warriors to tie or win the game.
They find Curry. Curry ahead to Thompson, knocked away, stolen by Thompson, and the NBA Finals are tied at 1 game apiece. An inspiring bounce-back win for the Cavaliers.
LeBron slams the ball on the court as the Cavs get their first win of these finals, and their first win in NBA Finals history. The Cavs strike back without Kyrie and take Game 2 of these 2015 NBA Finals. Game 3 was shifting back to Cleveland, and the Cavs, with all the momentum in the world, would not let up again. LeBron would get a huge dunk at the rim to give the Cavs a 12-5 lead with 6 minutes remaining in the quarter. The game would continue, and the Cavs' energy and hustle this game was insane. They knew what was at stake and did not give up. LeBron would find an open James Jones in the corner, who would drain a huge 3 to give the Cavs a 21-16 lead with 3 minutes remaining in the quarter. The half would end, and the Cavs held a 7-point lead over the Warriors, and the game would actually remain close throughout, as Klay would get a huge dunk to get the Warriors within 8 points. Matthew Dellavedova would actually drain a rainbow three-pointer off an assist from LeBron to give the Cavs a 56-46 lead with 6 minutes remaining in the third quarter. The game would continue after this, and the Warriors would keep it close, but the Cavs had all the momentum in the world after Dellavedova would get a huge lob pass to LeBron, who would finish the play with a monster jam to give his Cavs an 81-76 lead with 4 minutes remaining in the game. The Warriors would still not give up though, as Curry would hit a rainbow 3 over Mozgov to get the Warriors within 1 with 2 minutes remaining in the game. LeBron would get the ball and would drain one of the clutchest shots in NBA Finals history, and after that shot, the Cavs take all the momentum in the world in the series and they win Game 3.
6 to shoot. James again. Got it! Timeout, Golden State!
Taking a commanding 2-1 lead over the first-seeded Warriors, the Cavs were now 2 games away from making history, and a chance to make history with the team that shouldn't even be in the finals right now. The Cavs strike back and take a 2-1 lead in these NBA Finals. Game 4 was our first blowout of the series. As the Warriors would hold control of the lead for a majority of the game, the Warriors would strike back with a huge blowout win to get this series tied up at 2 games apiece. Game 5 of this series was back in Oracle, and with the series pressure on the line, the MVP of the league, Steph Curry, knew what was at stake and would get his first iconic game of these NBA Finals.
Wild first half. Curry steps back. Bang!
Harrison Barnes would be the guy catching the basketball for rotation.
Curry steps back. Curry looking for that opening. Steps back. Crossover. Fires away. Wow! Another three from Curry.
Curry would light up the Cavs for 37 points on 7 threes made. This was Curry's coming out game of these finals, and it couldn't have came at a better time. The Warriors would take Game 3 of these finals and were now 1 win away from basketball immortality. Game 6 of this series was back in Cleveland, and with all the momentum in the world in this series for the Warriors, the Cavs tried their hardest to try and keep the game close throughout, but the Warriors just dominated from the opening tip. Curry would get a huge 3-pointer over the Cavs to give the Warriors an 11-point lead with 7 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter. The game would continue as the Warriors would continue to get the lead farther and farther from the Cavs. Andre Iguodala would make a huge 3-pointer to give the Warriors a 92-77 lead with 6 minutes remaining. At that point, the world knew it was over. The Cavs knew it was over. The end of the series. The end of one of the most important finals in recent NBA memory. An NBA Finals that showed us the future of the league while showing us the present of the league. These NBA Finals might not have been the best finals ever, but these finals serve a big part in the era that would soon come. The era of super teams. The era of a shooter who single-handedly changed the game of basketball as we knew it. As the clock ran down, the legacy of an all-time great was officially starting. But what other people didn't know at the time was, this was just the start of a dynasty, and that these NBA Finals would be known as the finals that started a dynasty.
And the dream season is now complete. The Golden State Warriors are the 2015 NBA champions. There it is, redemption for Golden State. One of the great playoff runs of all time is a buzzer. There's a new dynasty in the NBA. The Golden State Warriors champions once again on top of the NBA world. The 4th title in 8 years. The Dubs dynasty is still very much alive.
When you hold me and kiss me slowly, it's the sweetest thing.